Alright, we have our front sight assembly here. We have our roll pin started, and to give you an idea, that's where the S-spring is going to go under there for the actual sight itself, but here, in this area, is where our night sight will go. This is a Meprolight Galil front sight, and this is the spring that goes along with it, and as you can see, there is a little dimple on the bottom of the leg here, and that dimple will ultimately go in that dimple right there. So we're just going to feed this up in there. Fits in that little L shape, and it has a little hump to it, and that hump ultimately goes in either here or there. So it's a setting of the night sight up, it'll lock in, and down, it'll lock in. So just make sure we start it in the correct orientation. So here we're just going to go down. Should be flush in a second. And when it's actually in there, it doesn't really do it now, but when there's pressure on the bottom here, see how that night sight then sets in position, but without it, it's just kind of floppy. But you'll see it when it gets in there. We're going to put our new S-spring in here. It only fits one way, just like that. And that's it. We're ready for installation onto the gas block. Alright, so now we're at our gas block here. It's all set, clean to go. We have our night sight spring in there. We're going to have to push that up a little bit as we're setting into this dovetail. Our S-spring is retained, but you just need to start it. Get about that far. Press the night sight spring up. And then you're in there. And then we have your two screws, one on each side, which you ultimately use to adjust where your sight assembly is on that gas block. And it's got little hash marks on the front here. So we'll center it. Don't worry about it later. And as you're almost in, these screws have little serrations on the inside, so you'll hear it click against the detent. Not a detent, but just like that. And we're in there, and as you can see, our night sight has two positions, up and down, and those are what we're clicking into. That little cutout on the slide for that hump on the spring. And you'll see it on your kit, but there's a little cutout right here, a little mill for the clearance of that night sight to sit down into. So it sits nice and flush. And then there you go, your night sight is installed.